This is the Unspoken Podcast on the Undetermined Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. It is episode number 11. Nick, I'm looking outside my window now. There is snow everywhere. What happened?
I don't know what the fuck happened. It's like every single weatherman in the country's going, I don't know what's going on. I don't get it. What the fuck is this?
Do you remember when I said that I was doing this podcast from my dorm room? It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I said I was wearing shorts, and it was like February.
Yes, you were, actually.
It is mid-March. There is snow on the ground now. And then next week, there's going to be a nor'easter.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in Bizarro Land. There's snow in March, it's cold in summer, and nothing makes sense anymore.
We don't deserve to be named Earth anymore. We just deserve to be named Bizarro Land.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Especially if things been going lately.
Speaking of things going lately, what the fuck is going on in the NFL?
Yes, it's hot fucking stove.
What? This week has been crazy.
So let's see if we can't do a little bit of a recap for those of you who hadn't been keeping up. And I understand if you couldn't keep up because it's been coming at a furious pace. I go to sleep, I wake up, all of a sudden 15 things happened.
Yeah, this I cannot believe has been going on. Like, technically, free agent stuff happens on Thursday. They started Thursday at like 3 or 4 o'clock. But this stuff has been going on all week.
It has. And, the Giants have themselves a new wide receiver, and it's Brandon Marshall. He agreed to a 2-year, $16 million contract. And I got to tell you, on first glance, I was cursing an unfeeling God. But I started to think about it. I mean, really think about it. And I think he might be a good pickup.
He is. I think it's a good pickup. I remember when that happened because I have like group chats with all my friends from home and from undergrad. My phone was blowing up. Like, it was like, oh my God, the Giants wide receiver unit is amazing now. Because everyone, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people thought they were going to move Shepard to the number 2. They were going to try to get another young wide receiver for the 3rd slot. But now you get another veteran wide receiver for the 2nd slot. Keep Shepard at the 3rd.
Yeah, and I think he brings a size component that hasn't really been there in the receiving corps since Plaxico. And that's always going to be something that's welcome. It's always going to be. It means Eli Manning can float one a little bit and not have to worry about Odell Beckham, jumping on a fucking trampoline to catch a ball.
Right. Also, Victor Cruz. It was like Victor Cruz. Well, first of all, you say the size thing. Yeah, he doesn't exactly have Marshall's size. And then, I think we talked about this weeks ago when like the Giants are doing their spring cleaning stuff. Like, it sucks, but after that injury, not really been the same.
Yeah, you really. I do feel bad for Victor Cruz because I love the guy. I honestly do. He's an amazing story, and he's given me a lot of memories that I will take to my grave. But the time has unfortunately come, and I wish there was a spot for him, but there just isn't.
I wish there was too. I hope he hasn't found another team as of late, right?
No. Last I heard, he was meeting with the Ravens, but I don't know if that actually panned out or anything. I
mean, I hope he gets another spot here in the NFL.
I do too. I believe that he still can play, and I still believe he has something to contribute.
Absolutely. Even if it's a minor capacity, I still think he could. Even if it's just to help elevate a team or bring a veteran presence to a young team.
And if he doesn't, though, if he can't find anybody and he decides to walk away, I think they should put his name and jersey in the Ring of Honor right away.
Oh, they'll definitely do that. I doubt Hall of Fame, but definitely Ring of Honor.
Oh, not Hall of Fame, but Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor, absolutely. he played a vital part to that 2011-2012 Super Bowl 46 winning team.
They would not have won it without him.
That's true. That's true.
That 100-yard catch on Christmas Eve against the Jets. That was the spark that team needed, and I think he's still capable of doing something like that. But the way the market is going for free agent, I mean, Mike Glennon got $42.5 million from the Bears.
You guys can't see me right now, but I'm just shrugging my shoulders. It's like, I don't know how to answer this. I don't know how to answer to anything. I mean, let me go off what I was saying about young team. Speaking of young team, oh, hello, Cleveland, with I don't know how many fucking draft picks you have over the next 2 NFL drafts.
Surrender them forthwith. Surrender them to the cold, unfeeling void and submit your will to your overlords.
Yeah, but you know what? There are 2 teams who can fuck up having this many draft picks, and they'll fail to make the playoffs. Number 1 is Cleveland. Number 2 is the Browns.
Yeah, well, this is pretty much the Brownsiest thing that they've ever done. Now, for those of you who do not know, they have themselves a new quarterback. And it's not RG3 anymore. Tell them who it is, Tom.
It's Brock Osweiler.
Yes, it is.
Actually, here's the thing. For those of you who don't know why I'm laughing so much, because it's Brock Osweiler. And soon it's not going to be Brock Osweiler.
Exactly. This is what I said when I meant the Brownsiest thing ever. Even in the press release, talking about him moving to the team. The GM, actually, I might have been Jimmy Haslam or the GM, saying, we value the draft picks, which means he was the stick of gum that you got with he was the stick of gum you got with the package.
No, they did that in the press release?
Yes, they did.
Oh, my God.
Basically, they stuck, we're happy to have Brock at the end of a fucking press release. We're excited to watch him compete.
My God.
Not even a sure thing.
Talk about kicking a guy in the nuts.
Oh, my God. He's Brock Osweiler. He's tall enough he can take it.
I mean, wow. We're talking about a guy who, let's talk about a guy who was, up here and then just fell right back down to earth. In fact, you know what? He didn't even fall to earth. He fell through the earth.
He probably ended up on the other side of the globe.
Probably.
He was falling fast enough, he might have actually broken the gravitational field of Earth and is floating out into space somewhere. But still, I mean, this free agent period is going to be a bonanza for mediocre quarterbacks. Bonanza.
Right. I mean, now we're all thinking about the possibility of where Osweiler is going to go. I just find it funny. He technically is a Super Bowl champion. He ended up leading the Broncos after Peyton in his final season was out for a little while. And then, of course, Peyton had to come to the save in the playoffs.
Hey, even Jeremy Shockey got a ring.
Exactly. And then the Texans, well, a season to forget. Except for that one playoff game. It was that one spark of hope, and then you ran into the Patriots.
And then you proceed to light the fire, and then you proceed to pee on it, too.
I don't know, man. So see ya, Osweiler. And it's finally come to an end. Tony Romo. We had, in baseball, we have Garrett for Pip. In football, years ago, we had Brady for Bledsoe. And now we have Prescott for Romo.
And, all right, maybe we should have a feature where we should put a countdown clock on the Undetermined website for how long before the Jets make him an offer.
Well, now, supposedly, from what I'm understanding, remember last week when I was talking about Jimmy?
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Garoppolo, and now supposedly...
Jimmy Garoppolo. What?
Yeah. Jimmy Garoppolo hippopotamus.
Yeah, that's good. What happened?
Okay, if you didn't hear, he posted something on Instagram. It was kind of like a goodbye message, like a little hint at a goodbye. Like Tony Romo had his big farewell Instagram post. Jimmy pretty much posted one similar to that, and it got taken down.
Oh, yeah, and they said it was hacked.
Yes, which I think I have said on this podcast is the new "My dog ate my homework."
Yeah, but then again, who would post that on Instagram at 5:00 in the morning?
Jimmy, I guess.
I granted, football players are freaks that never actually get a good night's sleep ever, but still, I mean, I don't understand why, because all the sports writers Ian Rappaport actually tweeted. He put this message out at 5:00. Well, I'm up now. I'm not going back to sleep. Thanks a lot for that, Jimmy.
And yeah, pretty much all the sports writers are having a field day about that. But I guess I was right. Maybe those reports about how like they said they weren't going to trade him are not true anymore. I always say, because this is something I apply to my fantasy sports, and this is something I think applies to the real world. For the right price, everybody has a price. Everyone is up for market.
Anything can be had at the right price.
Exactly.
But the question that remains, and the question that is most relevant to our listeners, who will the Jets go after, and how many Brinks trucks full of money will they dump at the front door of his house?
Well, that's the thing. That's one of the big rumors is Jimmy could be getting an offer from the Jets. Of course, you've also heard me talk about Tony Romo, and I think he'll get an offer. You think they might get Brock an offer?
They just might, although I don't know why they would.
Right. If you're going after Romo and Jimmy, I don't see a point of going after Osweiler.
Hey, if you need a budget option, RG3 just got released.
Really?
Yeah, he did.
All right. So he's on the market too.
He's on the market too. Like I said, smorgasbord of mediocre quarterbacks.
Right, and not just the Jets who need one. I mean, since Osweiler and the Texans did very well, Texans could use one.
Yeah, although they don't want to stick with Tom Savage.
I mean, they'll probably have Savage. I'm just saying, you never know. The Broncos. That's who I'm also thinking of. The Broncos.
They could use a quarterback.
They're all mediocre, but how could I freaking forget the one quarterback who I think, caused the most memes, pretty much won over the internet this past week, Jay Cutler getting released.
Cutler fucker. Yes, indeedy.
Cutler gets cut.
Yes. Well, maybe if you vaccinated a little bit more, Jay, you'd be able to handle this fucking sickness. Actually,
I ended up posting something for my undership, and it's full of tweets and tweets. So, tweets and memes. So, actually, let me bring that up because, oh my God, the ones for Mr. Cutler were insane. So, let me bring this up. It's just it's a little best of feature of best of Twitter from basically this week, day one of free agency. Of course there were predictable ones and a clip of an ambulance going by. Oh, it's Tony Romo heading to Houston.
No.
Now there are reports that Tony Romo may not be heading to Houston after all because they haven't released him technically. Technically, they want to do some trade shit.
Yeah, that they signed a tender, I think it is. Or somebody signed a tender.
Something like that. For Jimmy, it's an Ian Rappaport one. And it says, yesterday Tony Romo posted a goodbye on Instagram, was never released. Jimmy G posted a goodbye and wasn't traded. Maybe it's Instagram's fault?
Could be.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. Here are all the Jay Cutler tweets. This guy, whose Twitter name literally is Fu Manchu.
Points for originally.
Says, Jay Cutler threw a going-away party after being released from the Bears. but it was intercepted and returned for a touchdown.
Oh, God, I love that one.
Someone, Jay Cutler, like, you know, how they have like little speech bubbles talking. Jay Cutler, well, what team wants to take me? All 32 teams in the NFL. They posted that gif of Homer slowly backing away into the
slowly backing away into the bush.
Yeah. Okay, this one I know you're gonna get a kick out of. Breaking: Jay Cutler was just traded to Burger King for 30 cents and a bag of smokes to be named later. And they posted this photo. Right? They posted this photo.
Oh my God.
It's Jay Cutler. It's a photo of Jay Cutler for those of you listening. And they photoshopped one of those Burger King crowns on his head.
Yeah. Oh, that's genius. He is such a temperamental 12-year-old.
Wait, there's more.
And there's more.
Chicago Bears Nation notes that the last pass by Jay Cutler as a Bear was an interception. Perfect.
So perfect. So perfect.
Adam Rank actually posted a funny message. It says, "Godspeed, Jay Cutler. You were that boyfriend who would forget our birthday and later make up for it with roses, only to let us down again."
You kind of feel bad for Bears fans.
Of course, you know who's the one person who's sticking up for him?
His wife?
No. Skip Bayless.
Oh, fucking course. Because whenever a building's burning down, he's the one who says, well, maybe the people in that apartment complex deserved it. You don't know.
Skip Bayless, he posted, quote, Jay Cutler is better than Mike Lennon. No.
Wouldn't fucking say that, Skippy. Well, if your name is Skip, I think you pretty much have to compensate for it by being a dick all the time. Maybe that's the reason why he does that.
Maybe. Interesting to note, the Packers, of course, have, like, somebody posted on Twitter, like, you're going to see all the rest of the 31 teams, like, battling it out, like, end of the world, survival of the fittest style, and you're just going to have the Packers looking on at everything like, meh.
Yeah. But this is NFL free agency for you, folks. This is what happens when you have a salary cap and this is what we have to make do. So let's make do. And
I mean,
that's what the overall theme of it is. That's what you can take away from this, folks. We are making do. We're making do with what we have.
I can agree with that. I mean, this has been a nuts first week. Let's keep it going.
Yes, let's indeed keep it going.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Nick, we're going to keep it going. It's time for part number 4 of our MLB 2017 preview.
Yes, indeed. We are switching leagues to the land of DHs and overpriced sodas. It is the AL. The AL West.
The AL West. We're sticking west, young man.
Yes.
And was that soda quote just because you can see me holding a Coke bottle?
No, actually, I was thinking that.
Okay, perfect.
Because the fact that I had to pay $9 for a Pepsi in the new Yankee Stadium is a fucking crime.
Well, everything's overpriced at that stadium.
But
I'm a Yankees fan, and I'm admitting that.
Yeah, I know. But still, we are heading west, and we may actually die of dysentery.
Yes, you quoted what I think you quoted, yes.
Yes. Pitch up the covered wagons, we're headed west. And my goodness, has there been a power shift. Because over the last couple of years, you know, when mid-late 2000s, it was pretty much the Angels game.
Right.
And everybody else in the league was pretty much falling in line.
And then the Houston Astros entered the American League. And
then they started to get good. You started to see guys like Jose Altuve and George Springer coming up, and Evan Gattis, and people going fucking nuts. And there was this huge power shift, and the Angels, I think, were just trying to keep up.
And now the Angels can barely stay afloat.
And that's what's amazing to me, because they weren't able to sustain, Hamilton and Pujols being on the same team for very long, and that was amazing to me. The fact that you could not make that work, granted, personal issues being personal issues.
Right, we know Josh Hamilton's battling.
Yeah, you can't blame Josh Hamilton for that, because a sickness is a sickness. You got to get help for it, but it's just surprising.
I just feel so bad for Mike Trout. He is stuck on a team where it's like he's basically the only good one left.
Wouldn't have happened if you hadn't taken the contract, gone to free agency, and signed with the Yankees.
Well, hopefully. I mean, how long? He's got a long contract, right?
Yeah, he's got something like 10 years, a 10-year deal.
Why would you give that up? Why would he give up that 6-year gap, to free agency for an extended contract and money? He's not going to see the playoffs.
Money is money, I guess, and he likes being in California. Can't fault him for that.
Right, but now it's like, because now I've got a feeling it's like when we look back at, I mean, he's young, granted, but like over these next 10 years or so, like you can honestly make the argument between Trout versus Harper, because you know what I'm trying to go at? It's like the Peyton versus Eli argument.
Yeah.
One's a better regular season player. The other saw postseason more.
Yeah, although Harper hasn't really done much in the postseason yet.
Well, the Nationals haven't really done anything in the postseason.
But you can really blame that on the Nationals, not on him. But, division by division.
But if Harper... but if Harper... What happened?
What'd you say?
I said, but if Harper goes to the Yankees in a couple of years...
I'm salivating. You can't see me, but I am salivating at that prospect.
Right, but I'm saying if he goes to the Yankees and they start doing really well in the postseason, that argument will come into play about Harper being the better postseason player.
It will. And you know what? I just hope he's on my team when that happens.
I know. I'm crossing my fingers. Anyways, back to what you were saying.
Going team by team in this division, it seems like, almost the standings seem to be almost inverted from where they were a couple of years ago. Because
I actually have the 2016 standings right in front of me. And you're right, basically. The Angels, who used to be on top, are now finished in 4th place.
And they may finish in last in 2017.
Yeah, because, I cannot believe, really, that they were able to outlast the Athletics. I looked at the Athletics roster and the Angels roster for this coming season, and I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the Angels are going to finish in last this time.
Yeah, there's no way. Well, then again, with the Athletics, I mean, the A's are never really built for any kind of sustained success.
Right, but I still see,
a Moneyball game.
Right, but it amazes me because I see some talent on the A's, but they can't put together a winning team.
And it seems like the eternal boondoggle for Billy Beane, that he has the talent, he just can't glue the pieces together into a roster that can win.
Because I mean, come on. Over the offseason, they signed Matt Joyce and Rajai Davis. So in the outfield, you have Davis. Here are your 6 outfielders. You have Jacob Brogman, Chris Davis, Rajai Davis, Matt Joyce, Matt Olson, Jake Smolinski. It's not overly power outfields, but there's a lot of talent there.
Yeah, there is still talent there, but there is, it just seems that it's missing the ingredient, the key ingredient that turns talented players actually translates into results.
Right. I mean, you have one of the best pitchers in the American League in Sonny Gray. You have, I'd say, a pretty good manager in Bob Melvin.
Yes, Bob Melvin is a very good manager, which is why it's mystifying that we're even having this conversation.
And I'm just getting concerned that 2017. They're not going to be in last. They're not going to be in last. I feel like with the likes of who I said before, Joyce, Davis, maybe even Stephen Vogt, I would argue Marcus Semien if he can actually get it together, unlike last season.
They may be able to do something.
They may be able to break out of the basement, and actually the Angels could be the ones ending up in the basement, which is probably going to anger Trout more. Do you think one of these days Trout's just going to ask for a trade if it gets that bad enough?
He may. I do. If they string a couple of losing seasons together, I think he may, but I don't know if the Angels will grant it.
That's true. The only thing I could see possibly is something similar to like last season, where the thought is like the Angels are pretty much running out of money.
Yeah, and they're not going to ask for anything less in return for him than to empty out somebody's farm system.
But, one of those teams, if this was like 10 years ago, I would say the Yankees would do it in a heartbeat. Not now. Not when they're rebuilding.
Now we actually have something to build upon.
Right.
So you don't want to fuck that up.
Right. The Yankees are going to need to do something. For him to go to the Yankees with a trade like this, they need to do something to make the Angels desperate.
And you can't do that without a couple of losing seasons under your belt.
Right.
Which may actually happen here.
Because then you'll get an angry Trout plus a desperate team. Then I think that would be the Yankees' perfect opportunity to cash in.
Plus, Pujols can't play anymore, so...
No, I'm surprised Pujols isn't retired. I loved Albert, but I'm sorry.
He can hit. He just can't, hit the field no more.
Right, but that's the thing. It's like how much longer does he have left? I don't think he really has much longer.
No, and that's a damn shame. It is. It's a damn shame.
Moving over to... Who do you want to talk about next? Mariners?
The Seattle Mariners. And
okay.
Christ, I'm still bitter at Cano for leaving. I am indeed. Because I do, look, put it to you this way, and I felt like this when he was traded, I still feel like that now. He passed up, I understand the Yankees wanting to get younger. Right. And it's a move that has paid off so far in this semi-rebuilding process. But I feel like Cano could have been a part of that because there was a leadership vacuum after Jeter retired. And I believe that Cano could have been that guy. He could have been the figurehead that was ready to spearhead a new generation of Yankees, hopefully a new generation of winning. And, I can't fault the guy for making, and doing making the most money and making every single dime that he can, but I'm still upset,
I think, what's it called? I remember when this move first happened, a bunch of people, I think I even said, congratulations on making all that money. You're never going to see a playoff game ever again.
And you know what? You're right. You're right.
Because I would put the Mariners in the same category as the Athletics, where there's talent, but that team is just...
Yes, there's an absurd amount of talent on that team. It's just you can't put it together.
You have pitchers like Felix Hernandez and Hisashi Iwakuma. You have... Oh, Drew Smiley's on there, too. You have... catching, you have Carlos Ruiz.
Nelson Cruz as your DH.
And you got outfielders like Martin and Gamble. You have infielders Cano, Kyle Seager, John Segura. I mean, Valencia too. It's like, how? How is this team, how has this team not seen a playoff game since 2001?
And you know what? Hate to say we told them so, but we kind of told them so.
Right. We said them, you're never going to see another playoff game again. And it's like, I mean, you can hope for a wild card, but you're going to be fighting with a lot of teams, especially with a really competitive AL East.
Absolutely. And you better be able to play.
Right. We'll get to the AL East in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Stay tuned, folks. But with the addition of Drew Smyly and their staff, I think they'll probably be either second or third place.
Well, last year they did finish in second place. They were 9 games out of the Rangers. They were 86 and 76. I think they'll improve a little, but again, with like an 89, 90 games, I don't know if that's going to be enough for the second wild card.
Could be. Who knows? But
very tough with the AL East, but yeah, we still have 2 more teams to talk about.
Yeah, we're moving down into deep in the heart of Texas, and we got the Rangers. And
they are the defending AL West champs.
Yeah, can't fault them for that. Definitely cannot fault them for that. But the key question for them is, can Yu Darvish stay healthy? Can he put it together for an entire season? And that is the operative question that everything, at least the way the pitching staff is concerned, revolves around.
Yeah, and I don't know. If I have an answer to that question. I mean, congratulations to them on also having not just Yu Darvish, but Cole Hamels and Tyson Ross. Good for them.
Yes, they have a good pitching staff. It's just there are questions, and I don't know if they'll get answered.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to get answered right away. I think it's going to be a while before we can find the right answer. I mean, they still have a great team. I mean, I think their fielding outside of pitching is well established.
Oh yeah, yeah. It definitely is. But I just wonder if they'll be able to. I think they'll be able to make a run for first place.
I think so, too. I think they'll be either first or second place. I think they'll be in a dogfight with their neighbors over in Houston.
Yes, the Astros. And my goodness, have they been busy this offseason. And they signed Brian McCann, the ex-Yankee catcher. Actually, they traded for him. Mm-hmm. And he's now the catcher. They got Carlos Beltran, who I think is going back to the Astros for a little bit of, just maybe his final season.
I would say one last run.
One last run to see if he can go back to where he started, even though he was drafted by the Royals.
Right. And you'll probably have him mixing it up in the DH slot with Evan Gabbis.
And that's, oh boy, that team.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you just got to read the names of the roster. That's it. That's all you got to do. Altuve, Correa, you mentioned Beltran, George Springer, Josh Reddick. And then on the pitching staff, you have McCullers, who I think is pretty good. Hang on, Nick. Hang on. I am actually just getting a message on my phone. We need to take a pause for a second. I have something to report to you. Terrell Pryor has inked a 1-year, $8 million deal with the Redskins.
Oh, my goodness. That's breaking news for you.
Your reaction?
What the fuck? How the fuck? When the fuck? And why the fuck?
I love the NFL offseason already.
Oh, man. But still, I mean, with their pitching staff, you can do some real goddamn damage with that.
I mean, your fielders are ridiculous enough already.
And oh my goodness gracious, let's look at the stats of their ace. Let's see what Dallas Keuchel.
You want me to bring up his stats?
Keuchel pitched to a 4.55 ERA last season, so it was a little bit of a step back for Dallas.
Well, you have to say the Astros had a bit of a step back last season. As much as we're talking about how great they are, they finished 84 and 78. They were 2 games behind the Mariners, 11 games out of the Rangers.
So do you believe it's an aberration, or is it a definite,
For the
definite?
For the Astros' sake, I would hope it's just an aberration.
Yeah, as would most Astro fans, I would say.
I mean, you want it so they're going to want it so that way it's a three-way dogfight for the top. It'll be the Rangers and the Astros, scrapping out as the main teams, and then on the end, who's trying to cash in, race to the finish line ahead of the two, sneak behind them, sneak from behind ahead of them would be Seattle Mariners.
Probably, most likely, actually.
Right. But, of course, it could be like last season where they have such a competitive AL East, it hurts them, and then only the AL West champion makes it to the playoffs.
It's going to be an interesting race, but who do you think is going to come away with the division? Let's make our predictions.
Oh, my God. Well, let's go. Going from the bottom to the top, I think Angels are finishing in last.
I would agree with that.
I think this is going to be the season where they're going to pull the wrong string and they're just going to fall completely to the basement.
And, is it going to be a sight to see?
It is going to be a sight to see. It's like my childhood is dead. The Angels don't own the West anymore.
Wow. But in fourth place, we probably got. I'd pick the A's.
Yeah, I could pick the A's too. I still feel like the A's, like we said, they need to find answers, and I don't know if they're going to find the answers.
Yeah, but in third place.
Oh, me? Third place? I mean, we're into the dogfight here between the three teams, like I said. Let me look at the Rangers roster one more time.
Well, I'll say mine right off the bat.
Okay.
I'm picking Texas to finish third.
I want to say that. I really want to say that, but with the talent that they have, why, you think Yu Darvish isn't going to make it?
He might. I think he'll have some. He'll be rusty coming out of the gate, and it's going to hurt. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right
now for me in third place, that same dogfight that I said for first, I'm now having for third because I feel like, the Rangers could have a bad season like you said, but it's like, what if came with me when we were just discussing this? Houston doesn't recover, despite signing McCann and Beltran. I mean, it's like, I don't know. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go with you. I think the Rangers are going to fall to third.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that too. With second.
But if that's going to be the case, why am I getting the strangest feeling? Seattle might actually see its first playoff game since 2001.
Could be. Could entirely be. But second place, I'd have to agree with you. I'd have to go with Seattle.
It's like
I don't think they're good enough to win the division, but they're good enough to make a run at it and make a run at the wild card.
Right. I'm not gonna remember how when we talked about the NL East, I made my wild card picks right off the bat.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that this time around. I think I need to linger on that more because I feel like Seattle, there's something about them where they could make that fight and have that first playoff game in over 15 years. But I don't know. I think, you know what? Instead of prove me wrong, I'm going to go with you, and I'm going to say to the Astros, prove me right.
Exactly.
Prove me right. Because if you – here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have my little – ultimatum here. I'm going to say the Houston Astros. But if the Astros cannot see the playoffs now, it's going to hurt next year.
Oh, definitely.
I think if they don't make the playoffs now, their little window, despite all their talent, is going to be up.
I don't know about that, but
that's true.
Hurt.
Right, but
because their core of players is still young.
Very true, but they'll be more lingering towards, the second half of their rookie contracts.
Yeah, and there's a good chance you may lose them.
Right. And you're not going to be the only young team in town anymore. In fact, you're not.
So the
Yankees.
Yeah. We'll get to that. We will get to the Yankees.
Right. No, but I'm saying Yankees. I mean, even in the National League, you have the Cubbies. They're young, and they're the defending champs. So
the path to the World Series will go through them, and they are a colossus to have to get through.
Right, because the Astros couldn't win a few years ago, and they had that bad season last season. They've now made it tougher on themselves.
Exactly. So honestly, I think I would go with you. I'm picking, the Astros, but I'll say prove me right.
Prove me right. This is like your last chance. Otherwise, not that, like you said, not that your time necessarily is going to be up. I shouldn't have said that, but it's like you are going to make it harder and harder for yourself for each year you don't win.
You're definitely going to start slipping off the mount.
Exactly.
But you'll lose your position.
But the more you lose your position, the chance you'll lose your young players, and then you'll fall off the map.
Exactly.
And then you'll be the Houston Astros of old.
Oh, won't that be a sight to see again? I kind of missed that.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast for the Undetermined Podcast Network. All right, Nick, take it away. Speaking of the Yankees, you have something you want to say?
Yes, I do. I have a take, and for those of you who don't know, the Yankees, for those of you who aren't fans, they have a strict hair policy, meaning that there is no hair to be worn below the collar and no facial hair below the upper lip. Now, you must understand that I am a Yankee fan. You must understand that I've been watching this team since I was old enough to really get baseball. And like I said, that will never change within me. And I'm, Yankee pride and all that. I do believe that those things exist. The mystique, the aura, whatever you want to call it. The way that the franchise kind of comports itself in public. But I think we've had just about enough of the fucking hair policy. I really, really, really do. I hate that goddamn thing. Now, seeing as how we both have beards, and I like having facial hair, I just don't. And I like seeing, players kind of, express individuality with their hairstyle. I mean,
I will admit, remember the Giants, and you just have to look at the Giants and the Red Sox for beard stuff.
Exactly. And having long hair or having a long beard does not make you any less dedicated of a ball player. It doesn't make you any less serious nor committed to your job. So, really, is George Steinbrenner going to say that the Cubs aren't fucking serious and professional because they have long hair and beards? Oh, Paris forbid.
Nick, you said George.
I said he would have. Would he have said?
Oh, okay. Because it sounded like you said, like when you said that, it sounded like you were talking about he will.
I meant would he have said? Would he?
Okay. I was gonna say, Nick.
But I know he's dead. But it extends to Hal and Hank. It does. And I just believe it's silly and outdated. I get wearing a suit on getaway days because you want to look professional. You want to look like Well,
I think that's part of the argument for the hair policy is the professionalism.
If Congress lets you wear a beard, shouldn't you wear a beard?
I don't know if we can call Congress professional anymore, though, Nick.
Yeah, well, if the president can wear a beard, in fact, presidents have worn beards.
Yes, you're right.
Then why can't the Yankees have long?
I went to religious private school for high school, and there was always that argument. Jesus had a beard.
Exactly, Jesus had long hair. Well, he may have had long hair, but he had a beard, right? It's a tradition to have a beard, and especially as it was back then. So you're telling me that the Yankees are better than Jesus?
When did I say that? When is that quote?
I'm not saying that. I just think that this hair, you're turning your culture into fucking automatons.
This is about Clint Frazier, by the way. We should clarify. Your rant is about Clint Frazier.
Yes, because I like the fact that the guy has long red hair flowing out.
I'm just thinking right now.
Individuality. It's individuality.
I'm just thinking right now. This thing just popped in my head. What's his name from The Simpsons? The religious guy.
Flanders.
I'm thinking of Flanders and the Simpson movie where he tells his kid, "I wish you didn't have the devil's curly hair."
Yeah, it's a good point. No, it's a good point.
That is this situation.
But I must call bullshit because Goose Gossage had a Fu Manchu. Don Mattingly, you weren't alive to see this. Neither was I. But I know this because Don Mattingly.
There was a whole fight, wasn't there?
Yeah, he had a mullet though. He was baseball up front, White Snake concert in the back. He had a mullet. So really, you're gonna tell me Don Mattingly had to sit because he wasn't shaving his goddamn sideburns?
Well, I remember there was like a whole fire out between him and Georgia because I remember The Simpsons. Speaking of The Simpsons, did a parody of it in their softball episode.
Mattingly, shave those sideburns. What are you talking about, Coach? Again, exactly. This is exactly what I'm saying. It's outdated, it's stupid, and it needs to go away.
I mean, I feel like even if you take it away of some sorts, keep some stuff like you see my beard. You listeners can't, but Nick, you can see my beard, and it needs a good trimming. I feel like you get what I mean. Like,
I get what you mean. No, I get what you mean. I would say, facial hair, but groom it.
Right, groom it. As much as we're talking about the, wildness of like the Giants and the Red Sox, I think for the Yankees, if you have facial hair, at least keep it nice and groomed.
Yeah, I suppose I could meet you on that one. Long hair really doesn't bother me that much. Doesn't bother me at all, actually, but.
I can't comment on that because I can't grow long hair.
No, my hair doesn't grow long either. It grows out. So
yeah, mine grows. Yeah.
Plus, I'm kind of balding. So when I turn 30, I'm just going to shave my head. So honestly, it's a position of envy because I do not have long, luxurious locks.
Yeah, I don't have that long Hollywood style, superstar style hair.
Yeah. I'm a drummer. I will never look like Bonzo Bonham. But you must understand that baseball is a kid's game. You're being paid millions of dollars to do so. But if you suck all the fun out of baseball, I still
don't think they're going to suck the whole fun out of it. Like, they suck the fun out of the NFL.
Oh God, don't get me started on that shit. And Joe Girard, I love you, Joe, but the man's stiff as a board. He is. He's a great manager and a good person, but he is stiff as a board, dull as dishwater. He has the personality of cardboard packing peanuts.
Didn't we describe somebody else's dull as dishwater? Was that Matt Ryan?
Yes, it was.
So you have the Dullish Dishwater Club, Matt Ryan and Joe Girardi.
And I usually don't like it when sports writers make fun of Joe Girardi because I think that he does do a good job as manager. But let's call it like we sees it here.
He is.
I understand. I still have plenty of love and respect for Joe Girardi, but
he's not like the NHL. He's not like John Tortorella when he coached the Rangers.
Well, John Tortorella, he had his moments, but by and large, he wasn't a good coach.
Right. I mean, he's still a good coach. The fucking Blue Jackets, do you see them?
He have a good roster to go along with it.
Right, that's true. I mean, fucking Columbus. My God.
Exactly. Which leads to what you wanted to talk about with the NHL.
Oh, right. I just wanted to make one final point, though, on this. Well, speaking of hockey, oh my God, you know the playoff beard, right?
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, there's a feature, by the way, in NHL, in the newer NHL games, where it's like when you're doing career mode, you can actually set your beard to just grow and grow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's amazing. So, yeah, I guess my final point is, I guess I can see you on something, but since I was, private religious school and there was like all the dress code and stuff there too, I feel like you got to meet at a certain point. So I would say that, like, you can have the beard and stuff, but I still think you got to keep yourself well groomed. So if you're going to have the beard nice and trim, nothing insane, because the Yankees still have some mystique to them.
Yeah, they do, and there still is a professionalism, but the professionalism should come more from how you act and how you play rather than how you look.
Right.
I'm saying don't go out there with a weed tattoo on your neck, but or a face full of metal. But let's loosen up a little bit.
Little bit.
That's basically what I'm saying.
Keyword: a little bit.
Like I said, I'm a vain dumb asshole for bringing it up. Maybe I'm a little too.
I mean, you're not the only one who probably hates this policy.
Then again, but I kind of feel stupid bringing it up, but I have to bring it up.
Something you haven't seen, you let it out. That's why we have this show. This is the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. You're listening to it. Let's talk about. You're right, Nick. We're talking about you mentioned the NHL. Let's talk about some miscellaneous stories to wrap things up here on episode 11. I found this really cool story. It's like, I can't believe this happened, but it's like my props off to the guy for doing this. This involved a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, and he posted something on Facebook. So this Pittsburgh Penguins fan was left with an extra ticket to a game between the Penguins and the Lightning. When up came to him a homeless man who wanted money. Can you guess what happened next?
He gave him the ticket.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
And he said that the homeless man's name was Rob, and he said the fan whose name was Jimmy was talking about like how Rob was ecstatic. He thought he was joking at first. But then they went in the whole time. This is the quote from his Facebook post. We went in, and the whole time he couldn't stop smiling. Once we got to our seats, it was time for the national anthem. Rob took off his hat and sang the whole time. Once the puck dropped, he cheered the whole game. During intermission, we got chicken tenders. At the end of the game, he told me that I made his life. He asked me how he could repay me, and I told him to just pay it forward.
That's a good story.
That is, I think,
those stories. I really do.
That's why I wanted to bring this up during this segment. Just, I feel like that's something we all need in this world. Sometimes we feel like
a little decency.
Not just a little decency. I mean like compassion and consideration.
Yeah. And caring about others. Because if you can't do those things, if you're just closed off and dickish all the time, what's the point? What's the point of going through it?
Right. I mean, is it shocking in that, he didn't just give him, some change and then let him off like that? I mean, yeah, because that's what, that's the normal response. But I mean, wow. Like, my hat goes off to this guy.
Yes. All the hat tips to you, good sir.
We should have talked about this last week, but you know what? It's time for New York Knicks basketball talk.
And if you notice, we aren't playing circus music, and do you know why that is? Because we have a silence policy now. We're going to keep the integrity of the Undetermined podcast. The Unspoken Podcast will be going silent for the next 3 minutes. All right, that was boring. Let's go back to talking.
Yo, Nick, you're right. Screw this. Let me bring it up bit by bit. It's time to go to the circus. It's New York Knicks talk. And the Knicks decided, when they were playing the Golden State Warriors, this organization, for some reason, decided to play, what was it, the first half in silence?
The first half in complete silence, meaning no music, no announcement, just the sounds of pitter-pattering feet upon the shiny surface of parquet.
I mean, it sounds great in concept, but it looks so weird.
It does. It is. Although I would not go as far as to say what Draymond Green said, which is, this is pathetic. I would go, this is a cheap stunt.
It was a cheap publicity stunt.
But like I said a couple of times ago when we were talking about, the Charles Oakley thing, this is a distraction. This is a guy diverting your attention to a Zippo lighter in his right hand while he's picking your pocket with the left hand.
I mean, has there been any news as of late with that Charles Oakley shit? I don't remember. I don't
want to fucking know. I
agree. I think we just said that last time. I still don't want to know.
I don't want to know if there's something happened. I have completely disconnected myself. We were just about to go another week where we were Nick free. Finally, we didn't have to talk about it, but no! Mr. Dolan had to go trotting out his latest grand experiment in how can I fuck up this franchise more?
You say you've completely disconnected yourself. I've completely disconnected myself from the Knicks. Like, I think I said when we were talking about the Oakley Dolan situation shit for weeks that I was like this close to like saying, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done. I'm not a Knicks fan anymore.
Nope. I am done.
I am like this. I'm not now a Knicks fan anymore, but I've turned him off in my brain.
Yeah, I have to. Like I said, for my own sanity, like I keep saying.
Right.
Like it's like it's like a monster you're trying to hide from.
Right, and once again, MSG, I get it. The Knicks, basketball's a bigger sport. Knicks are the bigger team, but I would choose the Rangers over the Knicks any day.
I do too. I would too, indeed.
Who was the guy, by the way, that said that? I remember reading that. Was that Green, Draymond Green?
Yeah, that was Draymond Green.
Okay. That was one of the Warriors. Okay, so coming from the team that blew a 3-1 lead.
Well, I kind of disregard any kind of opinion Mr. Dick Kicker actually has.
And speaking of blowing leads, it's time for our last story. Actually, no. We have two more stories. Let's stick with the NBA for a second. Nick, I want to get your reaction to a video.
Bob, what did you see from your team in the first quarter? Can I speak about all that? Yeah. Can you be more specific? How was your team's defense in the first quarter?
There it is.
Answer for that's like a C+, right? B-. Hey, coming off of an emotional game like last night, what is your concern about your team coming back from a back-to-back?
None. You just don't play. It's their job. It's the next game. You play well, you play poorly, you win, you lose, you go home.
Thanks, Bob.
Good to be with you.
Always.
So there it is. I didn't know there was more to the interview. I thought I was just going to go with the thing. But Greg...
Context is necessary, though.
All right, so we were trying to get Nick's reaction. It was it's the end of the first quarter, going to the second quarter, I believe. It was a game between the Spurs and the Thunder. I guess the Spurs didn't really do too well. We all know Gregg Popovich and his thing with interviewers and how he basically doesn't really talk much with them. And I think it's safe to say, as I wrote in this article for the website Block U, Gregg Popovich has reached a new low level of the English language.
Yay!
What is that?
Yeah.
I didn't realize he asked a question beforehand. It was met with complete silence, too. That's even better.
As us Italians would say, menza.
I agree with Sports Illustrated with that man quote. It was great insight from Coach Popovich.
Mr. Popovich is the king of giving no fucks. He really does. He keeps looking for one to give, but he just can't seem to find one.
Doesn't.
Run for president. I will vote for you in a heartbeat, Greg.
Imagine him in the debates like that.
Well, you, sir, suck. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. As your economic policy? Yeah. Your immigration policy? Yeah. Your domestic policy? Yeah. Just a double bird. Just give him the double bird.
My God. Okay, now speaking of blowing leads, our last story comes from overseas in Europe. So there's this soccer team, or as they call it football team. I always put more emphasis on foot to differentiate between football and football. There's this team, I believe they're in the Champions League, Paris Saint-Germain, and they were playing Barcelona in, I guess it's one of their tournaments of sorts.
And 15,000 tournaments that they actually do have in European soccer.
Or just in soccer in general.
Yeah, too many tournaments.
So basically, how the tournaments, or at least in the stage of the tournament, works is they play two games, each at one home stadium. And the two scores are pretty much combined. So let's say Team A defeats Team B 2-0 in the first game. And then they go to a 1-1 draw in the second game. Team A would win by an aggregate score of 3-1 and would move on. That's how it works over there. I mean, it even works in the MLS playoffs up until the final.
Is it confusing, folks? You bet your ass it is.
If you're not used to it, yeah, it'll be confusing to you.
Why do they do that? Who knows?
We got to get a soccer expert on here to explain that to us.
Yeah, we do. Because honestly, as I was saying before the podcast, this is the reason why soccer kind of has a hard time catching on.
I mean, there's also
too many rules for there are too many moving parts, arbitrary moving parts.
Although to be fair, it's also less action. Like, at least with hockey, they're skating on ice. At least with football, even though there's only like 11 minutes of action, it's hard hitting.
And you know what? They worship it there. I mean,
right. I mean, soccer to me is like that sport where it's like I watch it just to watch it. I can see the beauty of it. It's nice and relaxing. There's nothing too sadistic. I mean, except when you go over there and you meet like the fans over there,
the crazy drunk hooligans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the support groups there, their version of the bleacher creatures.
Oh, they make the bleacher creatures look like goddamn choir boys.
Absolutely.
They do. Oh, my God. I thought Yankees and Phillies fans and Red Sox fans were bad. Holy crap, you ain't seen nothing yet.
So let me get to the basic one.
They would actually set a motherfucker on fire.
They would. So let me get to the basic point of the story, because that's not all about that. I mean, if you're not up on soccer, you can go read about that, or we can maybe dedicate an episode or something. But basically, Paris Saint-Germain in the first game defeated Barcelona 4-0. Holy crap. Defeating Barcelona 4-0? And then the second game happened. And Barcelona pretty much murdered Paris Saint-Germain 6-1. So when you add it up, PSG got a total of 5, Barcelona 6. It only took that second game for Barcelona to win in comeback fashion. They won both the game and the aggregate score all in that second game.
Imagine if double headers actually work like that in baseball.
Oh God, no. I mean, the poor freaking Orioles and Rangers when it was like it was a 30-3 game. I forget who won. But
yeah, it was. Or imagine if all 162 games of the baseball season were actually like that.
No, I don't want to imagine.
And at the end of the season, they just had to tally everything up. My goodness, fucking gracious!
But
I would need a calculator to have to figure.
I mean, it's enough already that I went to a Yankees White Sox game in 2006, and it was the game where in one half of there was one inning where in the top half the White Sox scored 8 runs, and then in the bottom half the Yankees scored 8 runs.
I'm surprised that inning still isn't going on right now.
Well, it broke like Yankee Stadium records at the time, I think.
But still, I mean, this shit is insane. Excuse me. I'm sorry for those of you that are soccer fans. I do apologize because I don't, I just don't get it because I'm not smart enough.
Well, I also was going to get to a different point this week, because that wasn't the point. The story point was the internet blew up.
As the internet is wont to do, it blows up.
I mean that fucking meme will not die. Because now their memes are going on about how PSG blew a 4-0 lead.
Is that unprecedented?
I guess it is. I mean, the internet's blowing up about it.
So I'm just going to take what they say as fact. Because I don't know anything, because I don't know the difference.
Nick, do not let this NFL offseason shit distract you from the fact that PSG blew a 4-0 lead to Barcelona.
Apparently, I cannot. I didn't realize that was going to be a thing, but I suppose now it's a thing.
Have you seen that? We've seen the blew a blank-to-blank lead thing, but have you seen that do not let this distract you from the fact, that meme?
No, I had...
okay, well, they do some things where it's like, don't let this distract you from the fact. In most cases, it's the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. But then I'll see some other crazy shit where it's like there's this one guy on Reddit and all he was posting was don't let this distract you from the fact that in 1998, The Undertaker threw Mankind off of the Hell in a Cell.
Wow, you must have loved that one.
I did, I will admit. For those of you who don't know, Hell in a Cell, it's like this big steel cage, but with a roof on it. And there were these two wrestlers, The Undertaker and Mankind. Some of you may know him as Mick Foley now. And in one 1998 match, The Undertaker pretty much took Mankind and threw him off one side of the cell. And actually, just go watch that match. I'm surprised Mick Foley isn't dead.
That for those of you who weren't born yet or weren't young enough to know, that was a big to do when that happened.
Yeah, it's still a big to-do. To this day, it's on like every highlight reel possible. I mean, I don't think, if you've never watched a wrestling match before, I say don't start with that one because, I don't know, there's just so many spots in that where it's like, I don't think there'll be anything you'll see that, if you're a guy who likes just massive brawling, like, there's nothing that's going to top that. But yeah, so the lesson learned here, guys, please don't blow a lead.
Yeah. If you have a lead, don't blow it. If you're running a marathon, don't blow the lead. If you're writing an article, don't blow the lead. Don't bury it and don't blow it.
I like that. That was a good one. Journalism joke.
We got a million of them.
So yeah, the Warriors, and then the Indians, after Cleveland made fun of them, it came back to bite them on the ass. The Indians blew a 3-1 lead. Falcons blew a 25-point lead. The PSG blew a 4-0 lead. Nick, I'm getting more and more worried about the Stanley Cup.
Oh God!
I think someone's going to blow a 3-1 lead, maybe even a 3-0 lead.
They could be actually handed the Stanley Cup trophy, and then all of a sudden they're going, you know what? You don't deserve it. Here you go, and give it to the other team.
I'm just getting so worried about the Stanley Cup. Please, Lord Stanley, can we have a nice series?
I don't think so. And that's just my opinion, but we'll get into that.
Right.
As the playoffs get underway, we will cover that more in depth. And
of course, and the NBA playoffs will be going on at the same time.
And holy crap, is that going to be a crapshoot.
And that's going to do it for this edition of the Unspoken Podcast. Like us on social media with our new handle, @the_UDUP, on Facebook and Twitter. Or for Facebook, just search The Unspoken Podcast. And don't forget to check out our brother pages at the UD Network, at the UD Breaking, and at UAU Podcasts. The social media pages for The Undetermined, Undetermined Breaking News, and Unknown and Uncloned.
Come and visit us. Come and follow us on Twitter and come and like us on Facebook.
Because you get all the breaking news and everything you want in sports, entertainment, and the rest of the world. So that is going to do it for us here on the Unspoken Podcast. This was episode number 11. For Nick Federa, I'm Tom Albano, and we'll see you next week for episode number 12. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.